And welcome to the No Name Yet podcast. That is the podcast with no name. And on tonight's show is the other guy on the show, the guy that won't dine in restaurants anymore because of the air conditioning, is gotta eat on a patio outside. Mo!
What's up? I really don't like being cold. That is a fact. There's no shame in it over here. I can't stand the cold. And the weather was great. It was great. We had a good trip. So I mean, I just wanted to enjoy as being outside as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, y'all liked it anyway. So
this episode is late.
yep.
This episode is late, and is late because you, Jasmine, and I traveled to Rutherford, New Jersey, which for a very tight and compact part of the world wasn't a bad place by any means.
No, it wasn't. First time by myself.
We were at the Williams Center, which is a art center that focuses on the counterculture, and we went to the second annual Icarus Fest, and it's right here is the program. I think they were referring to it as the Zen or the Zin or something like that. And it's Icarus Fest Fringe and Film Festival. And so, how did you like it, Mo?
I enjoyed it. So I've never been to that part of New Jersey. Beautiful location. I really enjoyed the good vibe over there. The food choice was good. We'll get back to food later on, but the energy was great. Diverse areas, a lot of Spanish, a high Spanish population, but from what I could see, but it was really a chill spot. The Williams Center I really liked it. From the record store upstairs to the vibe, the aesthetic to it all, and even just being in the auditorium. That was a great experience. So we started off. What was the first panel?
Well, let me go back here and just read a little bit out of the program to give people a little bit more information. So here is a picture of Icarus, and if you're not, I had to be reminded of the mythology that
really,
yeah, Icarus and his father, I forgot what his father's name is, but he builds wings out of wax, and they're escaping something, and he tells Icarus not to fly too close to the sun. Because the sun would melt the wax.
Yeah.
And that's in fact what happens, and Icarus falls to his death. So on this initial page, it says some people fly too close to the sun. Their curiosity, their need to create, and above all, their willingness to say the unspoken take them high above the comforts of normal opinion and into dangerous elevations. They make art and cultivate ideas that bring light and beauty to the world. They reassess ancient beliefs, and they enrich the human experience. But oftentimes, this mission generates too much heat for their own health. The Icarus Fringe and Film Festival is both a refuge for journalists, comics, and public and intellectuals whose creations bring them trouble, and a celebration of the work they do. Dangerous creators from all over the world come to Icarus Fest to share the ideas that in the public arena have gotten them burned.
Mhm.
They come together to express our common dissatisfaction with the status quo in politics, popular culture, and the world of ideas to offer visions of something more interesting, more pleasurable, more conscientious, more amusing, and perhaps more just. This is a festival of dissent in which the canceled come together in solidarity, if not in agreement. But it is also a celebration of creation, of the flight into the new, the unknown, and the dangerous.
You know what? Everything said on that pamphlet is exactly the experience you get. It really is. And I'm not even blowing smoke up their asses or anything. I really had no thought about this, right? Like I had to start off with the New Jersey thing because I like that. That was like the first step that I was like, because I didn't know what to expect. Pastor always talks about, Max and other journalists and Jimmy Dore, and I listen to Jimmy Dore myself. Um, Tim Dillon's. These are the guys, right? These are the guys, and there's so many more. Um, but I didn't think of this being, something I would be interested in. I thought I needed some big Marvel movie or some action happening, but no, just having a conversation, hearing these intelligent men just speak and give their opinion, whether I agreed or disagreed with some things. I really did appreciate that there was a space for exactly
Mhm.
this.
And there were women
Intelligent
there
people.
too.
Yes, there was women there too. Did I offend you somehow?
Well, you said that these intelligent men.
Yes.
I mean, the
Oh,
person that I, the person that I uh, walked away from the festival thinking about the most was uh,
Anna.
Anna, yeah, Anna Kachian. I think that's how you say her last name. K
Well,
A.
I just had two particular people in my mind at that moment. That's why I kept saying
Okay.
men. I didn't. It wasn't even a conscious thing. Um, but it was great to sit there and hear these guys, and you being a big fan of Max, um, was it was cute to me. I was like, look at that's funny. He's like, this is my rock star, And I was like, I was like, I
Yeah.
mess with that because I know that feeling. That's like if Childish Gambino or Dave Chappelle, I get that. Those are my rock stars. So I
Right.
was like, yeah, I
Right.
wanted to come out and hear what your rock star had to say. So,
Yeah.
but you enjoyed it.
I did enjoy it, and I kind of walked away with mixed feelings about not approaching Max Blumenthal. Like I didn't, like nobody was going up and being a fanboy or girl, and so I kind of backed off. And he was talking to this couple out in the lobby for a while, and I don't know if he knew them, but I noticed that couple was in the VIP row during
Yeah.
the comedy show. So, but I was satisfied to see everybody in person, and my big takeaway from it was the second panel,
Wait, wait,
which
wait. Before we move on to that, I just wanted to say how mad I was. Excuse my language, God. I was so mad. I really wanted you to walk up to him because,
uh-huh,
I know that we are both capable men who can walk up to a great guy like Max and just have a normal conversation without being like, like our pants. We could do that. So I really wanted you to ask your question once that one time. And then when we were down there, I really wish my vision was really good because I'm looking to see where his face is at. I don't,
mhm.
I can't see very well, but I was ready to just walk up to him and say, "Hello, sorry to interrupt you, got everything," and be like, "Pastor's a big fan. You're a rock star to him. He loves he like." I was gonna make the guy laugh. I had a whole plan. I knew I was gonna
uh-huh.
make him laugh. He's a good dude and he's doing good work. And he's there was no doubt in my mind if we walked up to him, he truly would have been respectful. He would have been smiling.
Hmm.
It would have been a great time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was mad. I was actually mad because I for the one time that I wanted to see somebody, I was like,
Yeah.
where are they? The whole time. Next time we're in the area and he's there, you already know what's gonna happen to you.
Well, I'm planning on going next year, and I'd like to stay for both days.
Mhm.
Um, but we stayed for the first day, and the first panel that we saw, I'll just read a little bit here. The journalists who will take the stage at the Icarus Fest have all suffered for their curiosity and their need to say the unspoken. Max Blumenthal and Michael Tracy were forced to leave establishment media outlets and go out on their own, where they face daily attacks from governments and their media accomplices for reporting unauthorized information on American wars abroad and political repression at home. And the first panel was entitled, "Is This the End of the American Empire?"
Yeah.
And I do have some pictures to share. Uh, Besides taking pictures of Mo and Jay, these are the only pictures I took while we were there. For some reason, I forgot about my camera after that. I don't
Mhm.
know why, but let me share these with you. Okay, so this is the auditorium that we were in. It's really a cool space.
Now I gotta make sure people notice we did not take pictures. No one took pictures when the show was happening. Those were just those quick shots to show you guys what it is because you are not supposed to be doing that, taking pictures while people perform. And if you are somebody that
Well, I
feels the
think you
need to
could
do
at the
that,
panel discussions. You just couldn't at
a theater. Okay,
during
yeah,
the
yeah.
comedy show. Yeah,
During the comedy show. So
yeah, because they didn't
um
announce no pictures at the auditorium.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
they did. Yep. So please just enjoy it. They're recording whatever they're doing, a podcast. So just respect that if you go next year.
yeah. So yeah, because that one guy kept taking flash photos, which I thought was kind of odd that
I think that was
that was
paid for
allowed.
though.
Okay, all right.
I feel like that was paid for because it was high flash and it felt like like an actual it felt like the flash coming from a powerful camera. And I was like,
Okay.
nah, that must be a professional person there.
I'll say so. On the left is Thaddeus Russell, who did an excellent job moderating the both panel discussions, and he has a podcast, and we'll come up with the name of that in just a moment. In the middle is Max Blumenthal, and on the right is Michael Tracy, and so there's Max. I'll try to get a close up. He really does kind of have an eagle eye. Like he's pretty intense, you
Yeah,
know. Yeah. And but there's Max, and then here's Michael Tracy.
Michael Tracy.
And well, I'll get your reaction. There's another picture of Michael. I think that both these pictures really kind of capture the
The
intensity
energy.
and the breadth of his um emotion.
Yeah.
So these are the pictures I took. That one came out pretty good, this black and white. I was using the zoom.
These are
So
really good pictures. I'm like,
that's
I'm
a
actually
little
like this.
blurry.
No.
So
But
I
you know
think,
what's funny about this? Tracy, it's so funny because he's up to me, he's photogenic. He is the picture is showing how much energy, and he really did have a lot. He
yeah.
really did have a lot of energy. Um, it was I like having him there.
When Max Blumenthal talks, he talks with a great deal of precision and really kind of drills down into what he's speaking. And when Michael Tracy speaks and talks about his work or what he the questions he's been asked, he there is a great deal of passion and emotion,
Hmm.
and even more so than you pick up on some of the online shows that he contributes to or has been on. So, what did you think of Michael Tracy?
I've seen him on the internet through clips or just like randomly. And, I remember when I first saw him, I was like, sometimes when somebody you watch somebody for the first time and they're yelling, they're loud, they're passionate, you don't really understand it, right? But if they're like, if that's something, the first thing you see of them, that kind of throws like, who is this guy? You know? Um, so I didn't have any like, and typically when people are loud like that, when I'm listening on audio or YouTube and stuff like that, it's really hard to focus because I want the person to quiet down. So like I'm like, hey, just quiet down. But seeing him in person do it and feeling the natural energy from him, sitting there, I laughed, I giggled with like, I thought how he delivers certain things, I was just like, I'm enjoying him in
Mm-hmm.
person. And and it just taught me one of those lessons, like never judge somebody on what you see on the internet, like get in their presence. And that was a fun lesson. I don't remember everything that was said throughout both panels, sadly. But I will say that just the biggest part was just how they handle conversations. I mean, Tracy was like a little autistic in a fun way. I was like, I feel him. Like, are you ADHD too, bro? Like, I'm like, I feel it. But they were both respectful to one another. He seemed like he would say smart ass remarks a little here and there, but like you could tell he meant no harm by it. That's just who
Right,
he
right.
was.
And
So
I think it's important for us to say to the listeners, so we're presenting something that we enjoyed very much, people that we look up to as respectable people.
mhm.
Um, the reason why there is such thing as an Icarus festival is that these guys have, I mean, I think you've gotten the flavor that they have been forced out of the mainstream. At
Mhm.
one point, the FBI raided Max Blumenthal's house on
Yep.
made up charges. They ended up dropping them, but that these guys are investigative reporters, and they do the investigation, and a lot of things that they find in their investigation conflicts with the official narrative, and they've both been effective, and that's why they've both suffered consequences.
Tracy, he didn't say these words, but like there was a moment where like he was giving me that energy when somebody was like, forgive these words, but stop sucking Trump's dick. That's basically like what
What's that?
it was like the energy Tracy was giving was like, stop sucking Donald Trump's dick, people. Like, and it was the fun and like the way he was saying it, the energy, he was just giving out energy like that. And it was just so funny to me because, I personally could feel what he was saying, even though he was using different words. I'm like, so he was just an enjoyable character. Made me want to listen to him more. I want to go back and, check out his opinions.
And
Mhm.
and before I just want to share this now so I don't overlook it later on in the show. Um, the second panel, where we're talking about the societal
Exorcist.
influence on the movie The Exorcist, and the people that were on the panel and like listening to one of Anna Kachian's episodes from her podcast. It really opened my mind. People have said I've been too focused on say quote unquote the news. But I think my focus has been quite narrow because I've been following military conflicts for what the past 20, 25 years. And I think it's just been narrowly focused, and being exposed to people who are speaking more broadly on a societal level really opened my
Mhm.
mind that there's a lot more I could be paying attention to, and that's not that doesn't mean that I'm not going to listen to the military things about the military conflicts, but actually augment my understanding of the military conflicts by understanding more about what's going on in our society.
Yeah,
So that was a very positive effect
I
uh,
love that's
going to this.
wow.
Yeah,
That's amazing. I'm happy. I'm happy for you. Like that's so cool. That's really cool.
right, right.
That's
And
really
so
freaking cool.
So here is Michael Tracy's X page. It's at M Tracy, and that's MTRACEY. And here's a pinned tweet from March 10th. Oh, 2021. Okay, that's an old one. Announcement: I've officially joined the land of Substack, so you can read him on Substack. It was probably inevitable, but I'm very excited about the opportunities the platform affords. And if you're not familiar with Substack, Substack is hosting a great deal of independent journalists and other writers. You can start an account and begin writing, and there are ways in which you can monetize yourself so that you can make some money from your effort and your work.
And you know what, everybody, it is time for all of us to start having this as a subscription and stepping it away from the mainstream media. So I think, including myself, we need to, look and make time to sign up, because this is the news we want. These are the voices we need to hear, because these are men and women willing to put themselves on the line. They're brave. This is where it's at. If you truly care about your free speech.
And I wanted to walk away from the panel discussion, remembering some of the points, and so I did take some note. I didn't take a lot, and it was just a great deal of information um, that they were discussing and they were debating. The one thing that I didn't think that they wrapped up was, is the American empire declining? I think that in a general sense, they said, yeah, they were indicating that yes, that America is declining, it's losing its influence. And but one, if I had been called on to ask a question, I would have said, what is your elevator speech for yes, the empire is declining, or no, it's not declining.
Mm.
And the one thing that Michael Tracy really came in hot and hard. Pause.
Thank you
um,
for that.
yes. Um, saying that if you think that the American empire is going to collapse anytime soon, you're in for a big disappointment. That the American empire has a long way to go to decline or collapse. And the one hesitation that I had about that is I've been listening to people talk about the economy, talk about the dollar, the efforts that were made that over the past few years to of other countries to get themselves out from underneath the dollar. Um, it just seems. I mean, I just have a big question mark in my head that there's been this steady erosion, as I would say, this slight erosion that people have been talking about, a few years ago, and it seemed to have been ramped up since the Ukrainian war. Michael Tracy said that in that last BRICS meeting that they didn't even discuss an an alternate currency. And the BRICS uh, organization is what is it? Brazil, um,
Russia, right?
Brazil, Russia,
China.
India, China, and South,
Okay, there was
and
South
then
Africa.
Saudi Arabia is coming into it. Iran, I think, is coming into it. And so this is an alternative to, um, say, like the G7, the G20,
Oh, okay.
um,
Yeah, yeah.
alternative maybe to like um, the World Economic Forum,
Mm-hmm.
perhaps. And one of the things on their agenda is to form a new currency for countries to trade in so they don't have to use the dollar. And it just seems that there's been like so much effort, and the effort is ramping up to suspend with the dollar as the world currency. um I don't know, I'm kind of skeptical that we could wake up one night or one morning and look at our phones and see the headline that the dollar's collapsed.
I do think that the experience we will have is going to be a snap. Um, it's going to be a snap. What I gather, with the money, everybody's always talking about the money, the bullets, the bombs, and stuff like that. Um, for me, I think that we're just going to experience a collective snap. And what I mean by that is that I believe a lot of the real danger, the real um problem I think we really experiencing is in at home. I always feel like right now for our country, it's at home. Um, for example, and and this was the Icarus was really great for this. And shout out Max, you did a fantastic job on stage. Love you for
His
that.
comedy
That was
set.
his comedy set was
Yeah.
great. And sorry for stepping into that, but what I noticed about that whole crowd was it was pretty diverse, right? It was a pretty diverse audience, and I'm pretty sure I have faith that many people are like wherever you at with Jimmy Dore. If you could see him, you're going to see him. Um, he's a great comic, guys. But it was a diverse crowd, and we were all agreeing, that like regardless of what side you was on, Democrat, Republican, we all cheered when it was about us as Americans protecting each other and seeing the for what it is, Um, I just feel like when we look at our government and we talk about all the strategy, it is and how they're willing to put all the work into making sure that this colonization mindset remains our main benefactor in how we remain a superpower. And they put so much money into it that they really don't care to invest in their own communities, invest in their own people. They have no faith in us as a people, none. And that was a big eye opener. We the people can get around each other and say, "Yo, we rock with each other. Like this is wrong. Genocide is wrong. We want peace. We don't want millions and billions sent to other countries. We actually want to work high speed railways. We want no, we want the best for our people. We want people to stop being homeless. We need better house. We're willing to put in the work. So I think that the American people, if need be, if we need to go out there and build buildings and go back to work and do things and house people so that they want, I think the American people will say, if you gave us the money for that, we will do that. But our government does not want that. They don't care for it. They don't have the faith in their own people that we will step up. and maintain our country and do the right thing for our country. It's better for them for the conflict. And it shows. It shows the blood that they're willing to spill.
Yeah. Yeah.
The mindsets are so different. We have our government mindset and you have the people mindset. And when you see it for what it is, and it's disgusting.
Well, and the thing too is that I think there's a gray area in there too, is that people that just accept that the government knows what it's doing.
Yeah.
Like
It's scary.
there's a couple of people that I know that um when you're talking about the wars, it's like, well, maybe the government has something that knows something that you don't, and they think it'd be very dangerous for them to share, and that's why we're warring with Russia so hard. And it's like the government is supposed to be transparent.
I
This is
wanna
a
I wanna I wanna ask the people, the audience, this simple question. If you heard if our government said, hey, every month we just made it 1 billion, like just 1 billion, right? You got 1 billion. You help get that 1 billion. What wouldn't you expect for something out of that 1 billion to come out and benefit you? Make your life better, make you happier, right? How many billions, billions, we're not talking of hundreds, thousands, billions, have just passed you by and you've seen no impact in your daily life.
mm-hmm.
And you're intelligent enough to know 1 billion, even if you had 3% of that billion went back into the communities, back into the neighborhoods, back into, it would help you. You would actually be okay with people making billions. We have not seen any development in our cities, states, benefits,
Well, it's
schools.
like how much did we send to Ukraine? Like 112 billion.
Billion. For every billion that they receive. Come on, guys. For every billion, ask what have we received?
And when people are talking about the money that the government spends, I mean, when I was growing up, they would talk about it in millions, and then it started in billions. So it was millions and billions.
Mm-hmm.
And so then when you would hear millions, you'd be like, oh yeah, for the government, millions isn't that much, but it's still a lot of money. And now people are used to hearing billions and trillions. And and I think that's where it gets dangerous, that we go about our lives and don't have a concept on how much money is being spent, and how much debt that this country's in. I think it's every 100 days now we're another trillion in debt. And to put that in perspective, um, if you were going to, if you decided that you wanted to count to a billion, uh, it would take you at counting at the rate of one number per second. It would take you 67 years to count to a billion. And so a trillion is 1,000 billions. So it would take you 60,000 years to count to a trillion.
Fun fact, ladies and gentlemen. Now, doesn't that make us all feel stupid? All of us, university. I
So
don't want that.
some of the points that I came out with that first panel is that there's been a lot of talk about allowing Ukraine to send missiles into Russia,
Mm-hmm.
and longer range missiles. And and I didn't know this until I heard it in a panel, that Russia is likely to put longer range missiles, not nuclear missiles, but longer range conventional missiles in Cuba that would be able to reach the United States, and longer range missiles in Venezuela.
Hmm.
It's a tit for tat, you know. They're basically, you're going to do it to us, Russia. We're going to do it to you. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and it's funny because I think that Russia, Putin knew that America biggest weakness was that it was the big guy. It is the big brother. And because you're everybody's big brother, when you say you're going to defend something, you got to defend it. And he banked it on it, and he drew our government into our military into a really a lose-lose situation.
who did?
Uh, and he drew us into a lose-lose situation
What do you mean Putin drew us
strategically.
in?
So basically, I believe he knew that allowing that America was going to have to step further into the light, out of the shadows into the light,
Mm-hmm.
and openly supporting them, right? Because after months of saying, "Oh, we don't support them, we don't want," but Ukraine, but they didn't. They're saying they don't want to send their own troops. I think Putin's strategy was to make America look like the bad guy, is to lean on the America as bad motif, because that is the US is bad, is the general census around the world right now.
I think Putin's intention going into Ukraine was to get people to come to the negotiating table, because each
And that could be in the beginning, but currently I feel as he's now setting up for the escalation. He's not going to back down. If he doesn't do this, he can't call wolf tickets. If you know, he can't
well,
do
yeah,
that.
and there's some people that are equating the level of tension over the Ukraine war, and the approval of sending missiles into Russia, and Russia's uh, declaration that uh, violation of the sovereign territory of Russia will result in the deployment of nuclear missiles. Some people are saying that this is closer to nuclear exchange than the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Here's the thing. This is after making that threat, Putin has to walk forward. He has to go through with it, right? He has to put those missiles out there, because if he does not, step up to the threat, then his word means nothing.
Well, now it's
That
out there.
Yeah, it's
and
out there. You said it. It means nothing.
and
Now,
it's almost
in my head,
certain that if one nuclear missile flies, they all fly,
of
and
course,
then we're all
but you're
gone.
talking about, but these weapons that he wanted to put in Cuba weren't nuclear. The ones that you said, the missiles,
Yeah, yeah.
these were nuclear or
No,
non-nuclear?
those were not nuclear missiles.
Yeah, so I'm saying that putting these non-nuclear weapons in, Cuba and close to the border is a sound strategy. But if not done, then we have no threat. Then he's all talk. And he doesn't want nuclear. He doesn't want a true escalation. So we have to wait to see what he does next. If he puts them out there, we have to worry. If he doesn't, and it was wolf tickets, then there's nothing to worry about. But that also means that the United States currently, right now, can't be continuing pushing it on our side.
Mm-hmm.
They have to
So,
make the sound decision to say, hey, do we want to really push Russia to test us and try all these? No, they, you know, so we have to pay attention to how our government responds to that.
mm-hmm. So let's pray that the West does find a reverse gear and is able to
Pull it back.
pull it back.
Pull it back. Please pull it back. We don't actually need war.
So let's talk about the second panel. And so I'm going to read this about the second panel. Anna Kotchian and Jack Mason, whose heterodox views made them forego a conventional academic path and strike out as independent intellectuals, receive unrelenting scorn from the keepers of the official knowledge and proper taste. Uh, Yenin Jones was forced out of one career for opposing the government's COVID tyranny and is now ostracized by the allies she gained in the dissident movement for her defense of uh, Palestinians. And I bet that's Janine Youngs, but I'm not sure.
Mhm.
In the cinema underground, we will screen the Lenny Bruce performance film. Let me see. Da, 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 da. Okay. Well, we just heard about Anna and Jack Mason, and that they were the contributors to the second panel. The second panel was called "Demons in America: The Countercultural Revolution." And again, that was Jack Mason, Anna Kotchian, and it was moderated by Thaddeus Russell. Very good moderator.
Yes,
And
he was great.
I had the opportunity to make a statement and ask a couple questions. And basically, what I focused on, or what was focused on by the panel from my uh, question and comment, was discussing the reduction of humanity, the diminishment of humanity over the modern era. That humans are looked at more and more, have been looked at more and more for their function, um, to define worth, and instead of the value of life and humanity. And They were talking about people making sacrifice for other
Mhm.
people helping other people, and my question was like, who are you asking to do that?
Yes.
And I was seeing it kind of as a class issue, uh, in that I felt that a lot of the people present were of a higher economic class, and I said that where there are people sacrificing for one another, um, in many economically depressed neighborhoods on a daily basis, like, who are you asking to make these sacrifices? And all this was in the it was the with was within the context of discussing The Exorcist, and what The Exorcist movie had said about society at the time that it was released in the 70s. And they talked a lot
Hmm.
about individualism and collective individualism, and how the changing society uh, was viewed as more destructive, and that the Catholic Church, that was considered more traditional in this movie, came in and saved the day. And how The Exorcist movie actually put the Catholic Church into a better light at the time.
Mhm.
And
Y-
so my question was answered, that I think, if I remember correctly, that it was a when it came to sacrifice, it was kind of a clarion call to everyone that we should be paying closer attention to our neighbor. And it was Thaddeus Russell that brought up, responded to my comment about, I think I had said, the commodification of the human, what is the human worth as far as profitability, and he expanded on that, talking about the diminishment of human beings over the modern era, and it actually is an organization like the Catholic Church that is continually advocating for the worth of a human being, the worth of basically he was saying that, was agreeing that the human has been diminished,
Mhm.
and for many different reasons.
What when we were talking about the Exodus, it I realized I really enjoy talking about film in public, and listening to people's opinion. I just it was a good experience. I would like to do that more with other films. So, I don't know why it was way too enjoyable. Um, but the movie The Exodus, even though
Exorcist.
what did I say? Exorcist?
Exodus. You said
I said
Exodus,
Exodus.
which is a different movie.
Exodus. No,
Exorcist.
I know. I was just
Exorcist.
doing. I was doing the second one on purpose.
Okay.
Um, but when I was listening to them talk about the movie, my opinion of the movie was coming from, you know, a disabled point of view. What was interesting about a lot of their opinion was how one of the aspects of the movie is the girl coming into puberty, and which is true, and all these impactful moments where the cross, everybody knows the famous scene, and Jack did a fantastic job of breaking down the book. I've never read the book, so he had a deep knowledge of the book and both the film. Great guy. And while talking about the impacts that happened to Reagan, like the psych exams and the science, and looking into her brain and stuff like that, it made me think about that time period, how people with special needs or disabilities and other problems were categorized, and people then didn't think of anything really spiritual, right? And due to that, it made people interact with people with disabilities in horrific ways, right?
So
And
when you were formulating your idea,
yeah,
that in the moment, it was my hope that you had honed in more on your commentary about the experience, the prodding and poking that they did with Regan with
yeah.
the
So
exams,
the
and
problem with
relating
that,
that to your experience being disabled.
the problem with that was that I had anxiety, like I was panicking for some reason. I just started panicking. I have no idea if, and and it's so funny. That's not even something I wanted to openly say out loud to people, but like you asked me the question, and I'm like, actually, my body was having an anxiety attack, like shaking a lot, and I couldn't hold back and start like my ADHD. Like I was like trying to remember what I was trying to say, and I got unfocused, and I was actually getting angry at that moment. So it's so funny how those things happen, because that was really an embarrassing moment for me. And
Okay, it
I
didn't
was like, I
show that
hated that.
you were angry or
Yeah, I know,
embarrassed.
but I have a tough time. I always try to be brave about public speaking. What I was trying to say in that moment was that, being that they did these horrific things to Reagan, she really it showed how much the aspect of how much people, scientists, doctors, and so many people at this point in time really didn't think as the abnormal as being special. It was more about, if you didn't confine into these boxes, if you weren't sighted like the rest of us, if you weren't this and that and the rest of us, the population had no idea to how to deal with things that was abnormal, and typically abused it. Didn't approach it from compassion, where the father in the movie, who is a spiritual leader, is approaching it from compassion and the love of God. And it just made me think about, as somebody who is living in 2024 with this disability, there's still that aspect of our society still thinking and not recognizing the needs of those who are abnormal, who have autism, ADHD, special needs, and giving and allowing things like our taxes going into those areas, because those are things that matter, because there are thousands of families who are experiencing this. And I could tell you that these are important things, in that just because a child is born necessarily different from the public, that does not mean that they can't give to society.
Mhm.
We just have to take the time and figure that out. But it's possible and it's doable. We can make jobs. We can make, there's so many things available. Um, but this is how our society works, is that we build for the majority. We build for the normal, whatever that normal is and labeled at that point in time, is where we're putting attention
So
to. And
so would you say that the if we say we view disability as abnormal, and view Regan from The Exorcist as abnormal, that uh, what the what the film is saying is that uh, whether it be the patriarchy or the authority structure believes it can do whatever it wants, um,
yes,
to deal with the abnormal.
yes. Think about it like this: in a sense, in a world where science and medicine is ruling right now, the second somebody, at an innocent child, an innocent girl, right, who has not done any harm to any man, woman, child, has not have a crime, no dust, dirt, anything to lie in this world, innocent, completely innocent, right? We could say pure, is immediately thrusted into a world of chaos and madness and hellish. And the first thought of, as the collective, was to poke, prod, and and dig inside the person body, but instead of targeting the person's soul, mind, spirit, right? There was no compassion. They thought their compassion was coming from medicine. That's all you need for compassion. But in reality, what she needed was somebody to come in and fight the disease that was in her soul, her
Oh,
spirit.
they needed the spiritual and not the
Exactly.
medical.
And not the medical, the aspect that underneath, the thing that you can't see. And it just shows you how much we, where we need something like faith in our lives, because faith helps us see past the skin, the
Yeah.
height, the judgment, right? The age. That's what faith does. And that movie is like, this child who is innocent, if left to other people's devices, will be poked, prod, and continue experimented on. And right now, what she really needs is spiritual healing,
Hmm.
to look past details.
Yeah. And what a commentary on the medical system today, that probably a good portion of those that are ill in the hospital, um, had they have had they been, or would they have been offered spiritual uh, care, may have prevented a litany of hospitalization after hospitalization.
Yeah.
But on that note, uh, we're right at the hour, so we're gonna wrap this up. So the Icarus Fest was a engaging and a thought provoking experience for me, and I think for Mo and Jasmine the same.
Yes, she enjoyed it a lot.
All right. So we end the episode the same way every time with a prayer. Father God, I thank you for getting all of us down to Rutherford, New Jersey, and back safely. And God, we thank you for the good and edifying time that God, we lift up those people that were a part of the festival and those people who are challenged by an establishment, by a status quo that does not welcome their work, their opinions, or their voices. I ask that you protect them and that, Lord, you allow each and every one of them to thrive. And that, God, may we learn something. May we learn something about our society, our country, may we learn something about ourselves, and that God, may our efforts always result in peace and productivity in the perpetuation, in the furthering of this race called human. And so we pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you for another day.
Amen.